You're welcome. We are going to continue with our topic of process costing. Today we are going to look at the process costing procedures. What are the process costing procedures? And then we look at some of the illustration. So we see that the stages involved in the process costing procedures. We see that the factory is divided into a number of process and an account is maintained for each process. And then we see that each process account is debited with material cost, labor cost, direct and then overheads allocated or apportioned to the process. So the materials cost, the labor cost or the direct expenses and then the overheads are always debited. And then we also see that the output of the process is transferred now to the next process in the sequence. In other words, the finished output of one process becomes the input of the next process. So we see that in process 1, your finished goods, what you got as your finished goods in process 1 become your raw materials in the next process. In process 2, it keeps on going like that. And then we also see that the finished output of the last process, that is the final product, is transferred to the finished goods account or to the finished stock account. So let's look at our illustration. We see that a product passes through 3 distinct processes to complete. These processes are numbered respectively. We have process 1, 2, and 3. So during the week ended 31st of January 2010, we see that 1,000 units are produced. So the following information is obtained. The materials under process 1, we have 600,000, process 2, 300,000, and then process 3, we have 200,000. So when we come to labor, our labor in process 1, we have 500,000, process 2, we have 400,000, and then process 3, we have 500,000. So direct expenses, they are telling us in process 1, we had 100,000. In process 2, we have 20,000. In process 3, we have 100,000. So they are telling us that the indirect expenses for the period were 280,000 apportioned to the processes on the basis of labor cost. And they're telling us required prepare a process account showing total cost and per unit. So the solution, we are going to start with our process 1. So we have the particular, this is the format. We have the particular, well, you have to put the process 1 account. Then we have the particular, we have the per unit, we have the total, and then we have the, then in the credit side, because this is our debit side. And then this is our credit side. So on the debit side, we have the same, and credit side, we also do the same. We put the particular, per unit, and then total. So they are telling us that materials, we have 600. And then remember, per unit, to get the per unit, they have given us in the question. As you see, they are telling us that 1,000 units are produced. So 1,000 units are produced. It means that for us to be able to get this one, we divided. To get the per unit, you have to divide. To get the amount of the per unit, to get per unit for 600, we divide. You get the 600,000, divide by 1,000, which we got 600. So, and then this is our amount. You do the same. Labor they gave us, we are still in process 1. Labor they gave us 500. So we get the 500 divided by 1,000 to get this. and also the same, divide by 1,000 to get this. So for the indirect expenses, remember they told us that the indirect expenses for the period were 280,000 apportioned to the processes on the basis of labor cost. So we come and see what is our labor cost. Labor cost in process 1 we have 500. In process 1 we have 500. We have 500. So to get for the indirect expenses, what are we going to do? It means that we are going to get the 500 times times 280. We divide by the total, which is 1.4, which is 1,480,000. We got 100. So we come back. We said that to get this 100, how did we get this 100? They told us that we have 280 and 80. They've given us 280 for the period, and then they're saying they are apportioned to the processes on the basis of labor cost. So labor cost on process 1, labor cost we have 500. So you get the 500,000 times this, times the amount that they have given us, which we got and then we divide by 1.4 to get the answer. So when we do that, we get 100. That's why you're seeing we have 100 here. We have 100,000. So to get the unit, we divide by 1,000 to get 100. So when you add the total, we get 1,300, and then this one we get 1,300,000. 1,300,000. So the output, what should we transfer to the next process? We say that our finished goods. Now these are the finished goods. These are the finished goods for process 1. These are the finished goods for process 1. So these finished goods, they are the one that we are going to transfer to our process 2. So it means we have at the unit of this and then the amount this. So we add the total, we see that they balance. So we have come up with our process 1. Process 1 is done. We also do the same. We also do the same for process 2. So we say process 2 account. We put the particular per unit under this is debit, and then credit we also do the same. So we say that process 1 transfer. Process 1 transfer, you get the finished products for the finished goods or the finished stock for process 1 is the one that we bring it as the raw materials for process 2. So that's why we are putting the unit and then we are putting the amount for process 1 for the finished products of process 1. So the material they gave us, they told we have 300 divided by 1,000, which we get that, and also this we get the same, and then also this one we do the same. So for indirect expenses we also do the same. You get they said, remember that they told us that they have 280,000 times the labor, which is 400, times 400,000, which we shall get, then divide by the total of the total labor cost, which we shall get 80. When we divide, we get 80. When you subtract and you get the answer, you divide, we get 80. So that's why we get 80. So 80 divided by also 1,000, which we get 80. 80,000 divided by 1,000, we get 80. So to get the total, you compile the total for per unit, which we got this and this. So this become our finished stock, our finished price. So this finished stock, it is transferred now to process 3. It is transferred to process 3, which we get this. So we go to our process 3 now. Process 3 account. We do the same. We bring the one that we have transferred from process 2, which is 2,100, and then the total was 2,100,000. So the material, they have given us 200. We divide by 1,000 to get the unit, and also the same. 1000 to get the unit, the same 1000 to get the unit. And then also indirect expenses, we do the same. We get 280 times 280 times 500 divide by 1.4, which we get 100. So this 100, when you add the total, we get 300,000. And when you add the total, we get 300. So this 300, remember, process 3 is our last process. So we are going to transfer it to the finished stock, account. So that's why we have said output transfer to finished stock, which is 3,000 and 300 and then 300,000. So you calculate the total. So that is process 3. So the finished goods, the same. You just you do the same, and then you bring what you've transferred from process 3 to become the finished. Then you're done. That is how we come up with the all processes and the value for the finished stock. So this one we have said calculations of the indirect expenses, which I said process 1 you have to do for process 1, process 2, process 3, which we did. We did, and then when we go to, we can also use percentages. Let's look at the method of calculating indirect expenses using the percentages. So when you're using the percentages, what you do, you say indirect expenses times 100 divided by total labor, for processes. So we get 280 divided by 280 we divide by the total of the labor process, which is 600,000 plus 400,000 plus this, which we get 280 times this, which we get this one. And then when you put this in calculations, we shall get 20%. So the percentage, we have 20%. So to get for the amount for indirect expenses for process 1, what you do, you get the 20% times this, 20% times this one, which we shall get, you get 20 divided by 100 times this, which we shall get 100,000. You do the same for other process. You do the same, 20 times 100, 20 divided by 100 times 400, which we get which we shall get 80,000. You also do the same, which we shall get 100,000. You do the same for process 3. So this is what we shall consider. Thank you.